My name is Philippe Panico. I'm a second-year MBA student at Sloan, and it's my pleasure today to introduce this competitive advantage talk, Making Miracle Content. It's going to be presented today by Brian Harper of the Minnesota Vikings. With that, I'll turn it over to Brian.
How's everybody doing? All right, yeah, quiet. Well, first of all, thanks for the intro, Philippe. My name is Brian Harper. My team is responsible for all the content production at the Minnesota Vikings. I just finished my 14th season there. It was a great season, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that here in a little bit. But I'm going to jump right in because with basically a 22-minute window to fit stuff in, I don't have a lot of time. I want to leave some time for you guys to ask some questions. So just bear with me here as I try to speed through this. So first up, whoops. Yeah, okay. Nope. There's a little delay on this thing. Get used to it here. There we go. All right. So over the next 20 minutes, this is kind of what I'm going to cover here. So talk about how data has influenced us and brought us a great fan experience. The ultimate home field advantage, which is so important, has provided us with the opportunity to sustain top quartile results in the NFL on our content strategy, and then optimize our process and structure, which is very, very key. So that's what I wanted to talk. You kind of saw the slide already for a second, but essentially we are a unified media group at our company. So what that is it's a content-first mentality. So we as a company use content as a driver for so many different things, and we're aligned. Everything goes through the same, kind of portal, so to speak, so nothing's missed. It works out pretty good, and we've been on the front end of that. I think, Alyssa probably knows more from the NFL here, but she'll talk a little later. But I think about 25% of the teams in the league were at a unified structure a couple of years ago, and now it's trending. It's well above 50% now. So that's the direction that things are going, and it's key for that long-term success. Our COO has a quote that he usually talks about where he wants us to think in the mindset of being 19 game ready. So in the NFL, if you're playing 19 games, obviously you're playing championship football. So you have to be prepared to capitalize on those types of opportunities when they occur. So that's what we kind of shoot for, is that structure leads us to the mentality and sets us up for success. So I'm going to take a step back for a second. So back where US Bank Stadium opened 2 years ago, so we just completed our second season there. But if you want to go back to when it was approved, so let's just say we go back 5 years, the information that we knew about our fans at that point was, probably what you would expect. It was minimal, really. I mean, name, address, phone number, email, that sort of thing. Not as much as we should be. It would lead to making probably too many anecdotal decisions, maybe a ready, fire, aim type deal, and we wanted to get to ready, aim, fire. So it was a huge opportunity for us to set the tone. We needed to capture data from our fans and really learn more about them and maximize the knowledge there. So the goal is capture and use fan data, have a best-in-class fan experience, and the ultimate home field advantage. So we used content to launch that, and anybody that we could get to, we would send out, stadium updates. That was a huge deal. We had a camera mounted to the top of a building. People would sit and watch that over lunch. I don't know what, but anyway, it was incredible the data that was coming off of that. So anyway, we would send out as much as we could, and then when fans would indicate some sort of interest in the stadium, that's when we started to capture that information at that point and learn a little bit more about them. We had an aggressive stadium builder's license program. We had to move a lot of those in a short period of time. So all these things kind of came together, and in that process, we were asking fans, hey, what do you want? I mean, this is going to be the new building for the next however many years. What do you want to see? And some of the things we knew, but it was an opportunity to learn more from them, and they're our most important asset. So, and essentially what they told us was, stadium experience needs to compete with the at-home experience. They want more stats. They want more replays. Wi-Fi and DAS is an expectation. The traditions are very important in Minnesota. They want less interruptions. I mean, you go to sporting events, you get all kinds of interruptions these days. And they want to be the home field advantage. They want to make a difference in the game. So some really good information. So we listened to that, and closest seats in the NFL, we built these giant video boards in the end zones that are low proximity, and they're literally right in the stands to kind of give you that feel. We invested on the camera side of things. We're able to get some really good tight shots and make fans feel like they're closer to the game. Lots of replays. Dedicated display boards for stats, which with the continued rise of next-gen stats and that sort of thing, that's going to become more prevalent as we keep moving forward. Top-of-the-line Wi-Fi and DAS and Super Bowl earlier this month. 40,000 unique users, 26,000 concurrent, and 16.3 terabytes of data, which last year was 9.1 terabytes. So just look at the trend there. That's crazy. We have a one-app solution. This was really important because a lot of places have a stadium app and a team app, and you're missing opportunities there. So we put ours together. It's content over utility for all year, except for game days. On game days, it's utility over content, and people use those to get into the stadium. Their tickets are on there. They consume content, watch Red Zone, all that other stuff. We virtually eliminated interruptions. We have a grand total of 1 PA announcement in our game. Which is a big deal. And then we listened about the traditions, and we strategically positioned them in the game rundown to make sure that we maximize the effect, because we knew that those were important for our fans. So I'm going to share a couple of those with you right now. So we have the Galler horn is something that's been a part of our history since the beginning, and in the last 10, 11 years, we've kind of used it as a ceremonial, think like baseball's first pitch type deal, or the 12th man flag in Seattle. It's a pretty big deal, and we make some big deal out of it right before kickoff. And then player introductions. So player introductions kind of became a big deal in Minnesota back in 1998 when they went 15-1 with Randy Moss. And from that point forward, it was a big tradition, and fans came in for it. So we knew that going into the new stadium, we needed to invest in that. We needed to make that experience something where they wanted to get into the stadium. So we created what we call Showtime. So Showtime starts 15 minutes before kickoff. So yeah, kickoff's at noon. We're not trying to, obviously everybody knows kickoff's at noon, but we want you in the building 15 minutes before that. So in all of our information that we're sending out, everything that we're tweeting, anything that we're doing, it's all about Showtime. Our announcements in stadium, the video board on the outside of the stadium counts down to Showtime, not to kickoff. And so it kind of got that mentality out at the beginning, and we blew it out at the beginning of the stadium, because fans are going to set their habits in the first 6 games or 6 visits or so. Their habits are going to be set. So we wanted to wow them. So we invested in pregame intros. That dragon thing there is fantastic. A little dragon on the front of a ship shoots out a 3,000 degree, 50-foot isopar flame, and then in between each player, it's awesome. And then on top of that, the players love it. Like, it's cool. They love and it gets the building up and all that stuff. So those are a couple of them. And then the next one here that I'll show you is the Skull Chant. That's a new one. Came in just the last couple of years when the Icelandic national team took a deep run into the European Championships in 2016. They had something called the Viking War Chant. And so what happened there was we had like 200 emails within 48 hours from fans who saw it, because it kind of went viral. And they're like, we've got to do this. It's called the Viking War Chant. So we didn't want to just steal it from them. So we reached out to the Icelandic national team and said, hey, can we borrow this? And so what ended up happening was they gifted it to us. We changed it to make it our own, not the exact same thing. We call it the Skull Chant, because skull is our fight theme and so forth. But the point is, 200 emails. Like, this was in late June. Like, that's our dead time. Like, to get 200 emails from a fan at the dead time of year is crazy. So it's not the most solid bit of data, but I mean, even on a game situation, you might get 12, 13 emails about audio was bad in a certain section or something like that. Anyway, so we reacted to it. So in case you haven't seen the Skull Chant, I got a little 30-second video here to show it to you. Oh, yeah, it's got audio. Is there, maybe turn that audio up a little bit if you can? Or not? Okay, well, anyway, basically it's really loud, crazy. It's a communal moment. Everybody's in together. We do that over the course of the game. It's a really fantastic moment. So anyway, paying attention to these traditions was a big deal for us. There's the Galler horn sounding at the end of it to kind of culminate it. We use that throughout the game in the third quarter. So essentially, the NFL does the voice of the fan. It's a pretty comprehensive survey that provides us a lot of information on several different subcategories. This one I'm talking about here is game entertainment. That's one that falls under the content window. So listen to the voice of the fan. We made some great decisions, and we had a great result this year. So and last year too. But so the point is that using that information to kind of set the stage, set the planning, set the content, and you get good results here. So we were first in rituals and traditions, and second in crowd energy. Had some good stuff there. There's another page with a couple other that lead up to the #1 overall ranking in game entertainment. So we're happy. We think that's a success, right? We got to keep focused on things. Obviously, there's some areas to improve. Always need to hone in on that. Essentially, the subcategory of game entertainment leads to game day satisfaction, which that's the big one. That's the one you want to make sure your fans are satisfied. And so, game entertainment as one of those 8 categories there got us to be #2 in game day satisfaction. So the Saints were #1, by the way. So anyway, we want to continue to improve on this type of stuff, but we can celebrate the fact that we were #2 in game day satisfaction and #1 in game entertainment, top quartile, 5 out of 8, opportunity to improve and on the food side of things. And then really continue to review that data, get the insights out of it, and plan for long-term success, so we're not kind of sitting there hanging out. So the next thing is the cool thing, and so this is the heat map here. So this is what we use. Essentially, it's updated minute by minute, and it shows the fan using their scan, their ticket scan to get in, their mobile scan, what gate they come in, based on seat location, so we know that this person's coming. You know, you can kind of see it as it fills in there. So I had it go to it's going to slow down and it's going to stop for a second at 3:25. 3:25 was our showtime moment for kickoff for the Saints game, the Saints playoff game in mid-January. And as you can see, we had a capacity of a little over 66,000 people, and as you can see, you know, 62. We had almost 94% of the people were in the building for the showtime moment, which is great. That gives you the best opportunity to create that experience, and all that stuff. So really, and then other departments will use this as well. You know, how do we need to relocate ushers or security and those types of things if areas are starting to get overflowed. So it's a really good thing to look over. So I pulled it. The Saints game obviously was not an anomaly, but we knew it was going to be the big game. So I wanted to pull a little bit of an average. So I did the last 4 games. 85% of our fans are in the building for showtime. Again, I mean, many NFL teams are like 50 to 60% at that point in time. So when you're looking to have that atmosphere at its peak at kickoff, I mean, you don't want it to kind of lag into 5-6 minutes into the first quarter. You want it to be at its peak for kickoff. You want to create that atmosphere, get people to come back. That's and get into the building in time. That's what we were trying to do. So the big games do have a higher percentage, but the average over the last 4, 85%, is pretty good, and we feel like we've created a can't-miss experience. So now, one of those fans who came in through the gate and the heat map used his phone, his name's Adam. So we're going to talk about Adam here, maybe. Let's do this. Is there a backup way to advance? There we go. All right, Adam. So Adam is our 360-degree fan. That's the direction that we're going. So, like I said earlier, we didn't know much about Adam in 2012. Over the past couple of years, we know a lot more about him now. So season ticket buyer in 2013. He opens 83% of the emails that we send him. His favorite player is Stephon Diggs. He gets to the games an hour early because he wants to watch player warm-ups. We know that he's getting a couple Miller Lights via the in-seat delivery service in the first quarter. And he looks at the Red Zone feature on his app, average of 7 times a game to see what's going on around the league. That's pretty cool stuff. He's a rewards member, so this is the segue into the content side. So he consumes content on the app, and we're able to watch what he's liking, what he's doing. We know that he consumes content regularly and on Facebook, and so that data that we get there, the data from the league that we get, it really drives our process. And so our process is essentially every piece that we have that unified media group, we operate like a newsroom almost. So every day we have a content meeting and go through, okay, here's what we've got going on today. So we're not missing any opportunities. But every piece of content that we have goes through this process. So what type of content is it? What platform is it best to go on? Is it going to be native on the platform or linked back to one of our own properties? How important is timing? Is it sponsored? Can it be sponsored? We're going to push it on the app. Does it need boosted? That happens every day with every piece of content. So, and then we make our decisions based on the data that supports that. So, it's a good process. So I got a couple of examples for you. There we go. All right, so Viking Karaoke. It's a helmets off, fun, exclusive deal. It's evergreen. It's going to play better on Facebook, and more than anything, it's going to play better on Facebook, but it plays well on Twitter as well. So we'll hit that first. But it has other uses. We can use it as a segment in our social media-driven TV show. Whoops. Goes on our app, a digital platform. We don't push it. It has a 3.39 average engagement rate per video. That's really good. So essentially anything over 1% is good. So it's a great performing piece for us, and the fans really like it. Shows the personality of the players. The other one here is the post-game locker room speeches. That's that inside exclusive access that you can. I mean, this happens right after the game. So everybody just won. Everybody's super excited. We get into the locker room. We've got that trust with the football side. That works out great for us. So exclusive access, team-centric. This thing needs to be pushed on the app ASAP. It's going to be out on Twitter. We get great response on it. It is usable on social. Does end up in some TV stuff, maybe segments of it. But our process that's set up there, we worked out, is that this thing needs to be posted as quickly as possible. So it's usually up on the site within 10 minutes from when it actually took place. So, and you have to edit that, right? There's going to be some foul language at times. So you got to be aware of those things. So you have the position in place when we get it posted, and it's great. And so the notable stat on that is that of our 25 best videos that we did on our platforms in 2017, that accounted for 10 of them. So just a nod to having that access, building that trust, and having that relationship is important. So the next example that I'm going to show you is why this thing's titled Making Miracle Content. So the Miracle, if you haven't seen the play, I mean, it was in a 57-year history of the franchise, Minnesota Vikings, this was the #1 moment. So going back to what I said earlier about being 19 game ready, having your process refined and in place and all that stuff is what allows you to have success in that moment. And so again, if you haven't seen the play, here it is. And this was a unique, we had a sideline camera. I'll tell you about this in a second. So if you're a Viking fan, this is extra special to you. If you're not, then it's extra special to us. But it was an amazing moment, and everybody was feeling the same thing, and we needed to be in a position to capitalize that, and we were. So preparation leads to great execution. The way we set it up is we have extra people come down to the field for the last 5 minutes of the game in case something special happens. Then we have people in all kinds of spots, and so one of them, his name is Scott Kegley, he's our Executive Director of Digital and Innovation, happened to be in that spot with a little camera rig, neat little piece of technology that he uses, and he was able to capture that, and we were like, oh my, the natural sound piece of this is key, because he catches the ball, and everybody's, it's a big play, right? So everybody goes nuts, crazy. But then, like just a split second later, everybody, including him, realizes that there's nobody between him and the end zone, and it hits even another level. So that's part of it. It gives you chills. I mean, the first 200 times that I watched this video, I had tears in my eyes. So, I mean, it's and all Vikings fans were that way. So, like one fan was quoted as saying, "I've watched this video 200 times, but I've played it over in my head 2,000 more." I mean, just so really good stuff. So we knew, all right, this was going to need to be native on Twitter as soon as we could possibly get it, and then immediately on the app with a push and on our site. So Scott actually edited it right there on the field, and it was posted 10 minutes later. And the extra point didn't even happen for 6 minutes because they had to, like the Saints left the field, and all kinds of stuff. So it's just great that we were in a position to be able to post it up there. We were first to get that unique angle up there and that sort of thing, and to benefit off of that. We also had in place to capture, to keep an eye out for fan, because that's such a wonderful thing, the fan-generated content side of things. So we knew that there was going to be a lot of great stuff, people posting what they saw, so we had all right, here's a little side project here we're going to be watching over the next 24 hours. And then photos, get it out. So Minneapolis Miracle, all those decisions were driven by data and the process that we put in place. So, let's see, 10 minutes to go. I'm going to go past this next video. So the fan-generated content piece that I was talking about, I want to give you a chance to ask some questions, so we'll speed past that. But I know Alyssa in her presentation in this very room at 3 o'clock is going to show it. So if you haven't seen it and you really want to see it, go to our site and check it out, or come to her deal at 3 o'clock. But so I'm going to skip by the video. This is the results, of the sideline cam deal. So 10.3 million views and 511 million impressions, 500,000 views on Twitter in the first hour, and this is just on our platforms. This doesn't reflect anything that a fan or another media outlet did from extracting the video and posting on there. So really, really good stuff for our unique. I mean, this is crazy. This is the best performing thing that we've ever had in the history of our franchise. So really good stuff. Moving on, so this is that other video that Alyssa will show, and it is just a compilation of all fan-generated content kind of worked in with the play. It's a really good piece. That piece, again, user-generated content, it's awesome stuff. 9.1 million views. Facebook, it just crushed on Facebook, and it's fantastic, still lives there, it's great, but it proved that fan-generated content is the best stuff you can have from an engagement standpoint. Again, I want to leave some time for some questions here, so I need to wrap this up. There we go. That's not it, though. All right, well, essentially, we must continue to learn through data and use those tools. As you can see over the course of the conversation here, fan experience, we're real happy with it. Home field advantage, we were all happy with that. The process, the data that we use, our content strategy has helped us to be top quartile in the league in pretty much all the measurables as it relates to content. So the process, the structure, being 19 game ready, and that all goes back to the fans and what the fans tell us, listen to the fans, and paying attention to the data. So before I do get to questions here, and if there's time at the end, I'll show that video, but I don't think there will be. Before I get to questions, I just want to say, talk for a second about how when you have sustained success for a period of time, it does lead to additional investment. So our ownership is very prideful and excited and loves to see what we're able to produce on a daily basis. So we're moving into a new headquarters, literally as we speak. We open next Monday, the 5th of March. I'll be going to the office in a new building where all 4 of our offices will be together for the first time ever. So we have a production studio that's being added there that will basically allow us, I don't know, this batteries might be going bad in this guy. There we go. That will be able to allow us to go to the next level of content. So, I mean, this is from a team standpoint. I mean, in a $4 million studio with several different areas that we can create custom content. You'll see on the left there, you got a digital, social area, and a big touch screen on the left, an informal area. You kind of see the desk peeking out here. And then this is kind of the other look, if it advances. So on that right side, we have those monitors can be slid together. Anyway, the point is, we'll be able to do a lot of really cool stuff. And that's because of the success that we've had, ownership's belief in what we can do with it, the ability to generate revenue off of the content, and that sort of thing. So I want to make sure there's time for questions, so I'll just stop there. I will say that someone's going around with a microphone. Please wait for the microphone to ask your question, and we'll go from there. So can't hardly see with the lights if somebody's back there. Just raise your hand if you got, there's one up here, or there too, yeah.
And how frequently you encourage them to repost material that you've produced from an original standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, some players have a significant presence, a significant social presence, and you know, through whether it's through my team or through the PR team, I mean, we're regularly talking about what we're what we're doing, we'll share it. We'll just send it right to them. It could be a text. Hey, we're just posting this right now. I mean, some guy, Adam Thielen, one of our wide receivers, B. Rob, one of our defensive ends, Case. I mean, those guys are pretty active, and so they'll do our stuff. We'll retweet and push their stuff, and it works out pretty symbiotic. I know there's tools out there. We don't use any of them at this point in time because we're having some pretty good success, but it's definitely something we'll continue to look into. Hope that answers your question. Somebody, yeah.
Hi. Do you see any correlation on the game day experience ratings across the league that fans provide with win-loss record?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely an impact there. And you try to build something that is going to be able to sustain itself in those leaner years. I mean, we're 2 years into our stadium. We saw some of that at our previous spot where it would kind of dip a little bit, but we feel that the experience and the communal aspect of it and the impact that fans have is going to continue to draw them back. I mean, our home record is really good. I mean, a lot of people play better at home, right? But we're 2 years into the building, so it's going to take a longer period of time to kind of establish that track record, but it's an outstanding spot. Like, you're going to hear, like, what it's like at Foxborough, what it's like in Seattle. Like, that's what you're going to hear about Minnesota for years to come. So, but there's definitely a notice. Yeah, over here. A couple of them over here.
You talked a bit about the data, the amazing amount of data you have about Adam was the example.
Yep.
Can you talk about how you apply that data and what you specifically do to take advantage of having all that?
Yeah, so that would be through a couple of different departments. Our ticket office, I mean, they're looking at it from a renewal and a retention standpoint, looking at his habits, what's he doing at certain times, how can they use they really use the content side to take full advantage of it. But he's an example of, I don't know the number of fans that we have in our loyalty program right now, but that's the big one. The rewards program is the ones where we can really get deep and acquire that information. So as we grow that, I mean, we're 2 years in, as we grow that, it's going to get more effective. So we'll incentivize them with points to, if he consumes content, he's getting points. He gets points for coming to the game. If we score 35 points, he gets more points than if we score 14 points. I mean, it's just trying to build that relationship and so forth. So essentially, the content you use the content, you build the platform, then you basically get the data from the platform and get your insights from the platform, and then you kind of make your business decisions after that. So it really works for several different departments from a business standpoint. Yeah.
You must have a 20-80 rule where maybe 20% of your fans generate a large portion of your revenue. Do you treat them in any special way to continue to maintain that loyalty for your top revenue fans?
As it relates to content or just...
Content and/or service treatments, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, from a service standpoint, I mean, really, we look at it just from a season ticket member point of view. I mean, if you do the 20-80 thing, I mean, it's important to have we call skull service. It kind of comes similar to what Disney does, but I don't think we really treat that top tier any different. I mean, we've looked at whether we do a subscription tier on our content. I mean, those decisions we typically shy away from, just because the overall group is so rewarding for us. But the rewards members, they will kind of grow over time and begin to get more benefits just because we know more about them than some of the folks that we don't. So, not really answer your question, but...
That studio looks pretty amazing. Does your ownership group expect revenue generation out of your group, so to be able to actually tie a real return on investment to justify the investment in that incremental studio and all the other resources you're asked for year over year?
That's a great question. So first of all, we have a naming rights partner for our overall facility, who is also the naming rights partner for the studio. So there's a certain dollar amount that goes towards that deal that we can, say is part of ours. But it's really tough because all the revenue dollars go into partnerships. So we're not a revenue generating department, but they need us to generate revenue. So to be able to hone down into that and tie some of those things together is yes. And the reason that happens is because the sales and partnerships department is willing to go that deep with us and work with us on it because they see the benefit, that they've seen the benefit over time, and they see the opportunity that they're going to have moving forward. So we have, not only did what you just saw there, but we have a separate radio studio, another satellite studio that we can use. So if it's something that's not affiliated or that shouldn't be affiliated with TCO, who's Twin Cities Orthopedics, who's the sponsor of the whole project, it gives us another area to go. But yeah, from a production standpoint, we're beefed up to that we can actually do stuff that's not Vikings related if we want to really get into that type of business. So it's a full deal studio. So one more right there. Go ahead.
I became very invested in the Grandma Millie story.
Yeah.
Susan, I was wondering if you guys go out and actively look for those kind of natural stories, or if they happen organically and then you decide to promote them.
They mostly happen organically. I think people are pretty heads up and know what to look out for, and we'll get notes. But like that one was all organic, and it was amazing. And I'm glad that you know about that story. But a 99-year-old woman who's about to turn 100, and she wanted us to win the Super Bowl, and we failed her. So anyway, I think my 30. I'm already eating into somebody else's time here, so but thanks so much. It was an honor to be here. Appreciate it.